Okay. So bad on purpose. Doing things bad on purpose, right? This is something that is like an idea that has kind of changed my life in a lot of ways. And I am autistic. I am late diagnosis. So for most of my life, I didn't know what was different about me. And like I've gone through most of my life kind of just assuming I'm a problem, apologizing for my existence, basically apologizing for being inconvenient, always feeling like everything's my fault because everybody else is doing okay. So I must be the problem kind of thinking, And so learning to do things bad on purpose comes from a place for me of feeling like I'm not good at anything. And the truth is, I am exceptional at some really weird stuff. But like the mainstream stuff, the stuff that people, that we're taught to judge ourselves by, we go into this school system that tries and cranks us into these little, I'm not good at that stuff. I'm not good at the stuff that this world seems to value. I'm good at really weird stuff that's probably hundreds of years ago might have been valuable, but nowadays it's nothing, right? Like I'm good at figuring out strange problems. I invent things for weird little issues. I like to take things apart and see how they work. And not only that, but like take little parts that look like other things and make them into other stuff. Like I just do weird stuff, right? I'm good at those things. But I didn't learn I was good at those things until I started to do stuff badly. And so this started for me with dance. I have another channel called Broken Dance and Broken Furniture, right? And that channel was kind of like what was part of my process of like figuring out how to just do stuff, even though I know I'm probably bad at it. And it started with just the decision to be like, you know what? I can either I can either do stuff badly or like not do it. Like that's really because everybody was like, if you're gonna do it right. Well, I'm like, well then I can't do it because I'm probably not gonna get it right, and then I'm gonna feel bad, and then I'm not gonna want to do it again because I'll feel bad about it. And so I started changing the target, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it bad because doing it is the win. Like it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter what the outcome is. For one thing, like it started for me, I think the first thing was really with dance. Like I did not even know, like I was so not a dance person, right? The whole thing, like people doing it just looked so like, I don't know how they do that. I don't know if people just go out and like, I had to ask my son who's a break dancer, and I was just like, okay, so when people go out and dance, like do they know? Do they have a plan? Like, I didn't know, like, is it okay if I don't have a plan and I just like start moving to the music? Is that okay? Is that allowed? Like I just had no concept of it because it always just seemed like everybody knows what they're doing, right? And I have no idea what I'm doing. And he was like, yeah, that's totally what we do. And I was like, okay, okay. Like I know that you can learn other things. Like now I know I can do some shuffling and kind of stuff like that. Like I know that there's things, but just to start, because I was like so psyched out, like because I just had this ideal that what it should look like, and so everything I did was wrong. And it took a while to like really lean into do it bad on purpose, like look like a dork on purpose, because I had to break out of that like feeling like looking like a dork was bad. Like I really had to break that, what do you call it? Like it was some kind of mental connection, like a path in my brain, right? Like, because I started noticing, even when I'm totally by myself in my room, the door's closed, nobody's around, and I would be trying to dance, right? And break out of this feeling like a fool. And I would be like embarrassed and like stop doing so. And I'm like, nobody's watching me. Why am I embarrassed? Like, why is my brain wired like this? Why did I teach myself that anything I do that looks stupid is bad and I should stop? Like that's how I learned stuff. Like, and I'm not saying I'm like the best dancer in the world, but I've become pretty decent, like as much as physically I can. I have other physical issues, and so anyway, but I missed out for years on the fun of it. Like it is so fun to dance for me. Like I love that kind of I guess it's almost like a stem for me, like something that really just helps release stress and tension and everything. And I missing out on it because I felt like I looked stupid or I couldn't do it right. And that is also my problem because I have this silly ideal of what it's supposed to look like, right? And so once I got rid of that, and then I just like put up some mirrors and started dancing. I took some videos for a while and just to check and see what it looks like so I could tell, like just to kind of get more like feedback, like, okay, okay, I'm not doing what I think I'm doing, so here's how I adjust it, right? And then the other part of my channel was like the furniture. I started like, there were things that I had that I was always like, I'm a person who, always, not always, but I'm a person who always like breaks things, like not intentionally. Like I just am clumsy, and I'm not, I don't have that same like, I just get nervous around other people's furniture or nice stuff. Like I don't like it when people give me their nice things because I'm afraid I'm going to break it and then I'm going to feel bad and blah, 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 blah. But I had all this furniture of my own that I didn't really want. Like I don't even know where it came from, and it was in my way, and I didn't know, and I was like, I wonder if I think I started like, I'll just break it apart and get rid of it, right? Like, because it'll be easier to throw it away a little bit of time. And once I started disassembling it, like, I found all these uses for things, and I started making weird furniture that, like, it's doesn't, to other people, it doesn't look pretty. I'm sure they're not like, wow, that's good. To me, I was like, I am so pleased that I was able to make this thing. It works exactly right for the purpose I need. And I just made it for with stuff I had around. I just broke other furniture and made other stuff, But I had this like idea that if you want to make something, like I made this little table that folds up, like, and if you want to make it, you have to have this plan and know how to do all these things. And I was like, I can't do that stuff. That makes me not do it, right? But I'm like, I'm just going to do it bad. I'm just going to make a bad table. And I was like, to me, it makes sense that if I put this cabinet door and I screw it in here with hinges, that I should be able to flip it up and rest it on that other thing, And then I did, and it does, and it works, and it's light, and I can move it, and so I can have a table, and then I can put it away, and so it's perfect, right? But it's not an ideal. It's not like something that I would like have a blueprint for. It doesn't look polished. I'm not going to try and sell it at the store. Like, but it's good enough for me, And I was impressed that, hey, my idea worked, right? But all of this stuff started with having to make the goal doing it bad, because it's so difficult to break out of like the idealistic thinking that we're raised in, because we are just so what is the word, inundated with like all these ideals of what it's like to be a beautiful woman, what it's like to be a nice person, what it's like to be a successful person, what it's like to be a good student, what it's like to be smart, what it's like to be, and so we have all these little pictures, and when we know we can't meet them, like at least for me, I'll own my statements here, like I just wouldn't do them. Like, because I'd be like, oh, I'm not good at that, or I can't do that. I don't know how to use tools. Like, because when I started making furniture stuff, like, I didn't even know how to use a drill yet. And so, like, I was just like using screws, like, and like it would like break the wood apart and stuff, like, because I just didn't know, oh, you drill a hole first. Like, I was so completely out of touch with like doing that stuff because I'd never just messed around with it. Like I felt like, well, I've got to take a class before I can use tools. No, you don't need to take a class before you use tools. Just start messing around with stuff you don't care about a whole lot and then figure them out. And that for me is how I learned. The school system is not at all how I learned. So I wasted so many years of my life learning that I don't fit into the world and making me feel bad about myself, when if you'd just given me stuff to fool around with, I probably would have like carved a place for myself in the world at a much younger age, and I would have been a much happier person. But I'm not really bitter. I'm just a little bit bitter about that. But but anyways, doing it badly, being the target, makes it so that I can break out of those ideals a little bit. And I think that it's like, because the doing it itself is one skill and one thing, right? But getting that path in the brain that I'm gonna do it even if it's bad, and I'm still gonna feel good about it, like, because it being bad isn't going to affect my final analysis of is this worth my time, right? Um, I'm not sure if I'm explaining it exactly well, but I think that there's really something to that, like, when we do things, we do kind of a cost benefit analysis. And if we take into account the product as, I did not do this very well, and I'm embarrassed of what I made. I'm embarrassed of the dance I did. I'm embarrassed of the furniture I made. I'm embarrassed of the food I cooked, whatever. It makes it so that all the effort we put into it just kind of is a wash. It feels like yucky, right? But if it doesn't matter what the product of it is, and the process is important, which I think most people, at least we recognize that's probably true. Like there's all kinds of stuff that goes on when we're figuring things out, that we learn, and then we can do, we can change, we can adjust it for ourselves in the future, all that, right? And especially things like dance, it's still healthy for you. It still gets your brain chemicals going that make you feel better and all that, right? Like, but when we when we take away that good feeling by judging good or bad, like, but for me, I can't just be like, I'm not going to judge because I'll judge it. So I had to make it like, so bad is the target. Like, bad's the target. Hey, if it's better than bad, dope. But like, otherwise, if it's bad, it's still good. I still did it. And that's the win, you know? And anyway, I feel like I'm talking in circles because, you know, I do that. So I'm going to stop here.